Everybody loves donuts, but when was the last time you made your own? These tender little morsels are soft and fluffy and delicious, and I'm going to show you 3 super easy ways to make them. But in my opinion, the best part of making your own is you can make them any kind of donuts you want. The recipes will be down in the description, so hit that like button and let's get started. To a small bowl, I'm first going to mix together 60 grams or half a cup of sugar and the zest of 1 lemon. This is an optional step, but I find that just a little hint of lemon helps brighten up the flavor of this otherwise super rich pastry. Mixing them together first is going to help to draw out all the oils in the lemon zest. Then I'll grab the bowl of my stand mixer and add 150 milliliters of room temperature water, 150 milliliters of whole milk, 5 grams or half a tablespoon of instant yeast, 500 grams of white bread flour, half a tablespoon of salt, my lemon sugar, and the yolks of 2 large eggs. I'll take that over to my stand mixer where I'm going to knead it on low until it becomes a stiff but cohesive dough. Very stiff. I'll throw that back into the bowl of my mixer and kneading on low gradually add in 60 grams of unsalted butter until I'm left with a smooth, supple dough. You'll know your dough is done by performing a window pane test. If you can stretch your dough enough to see through it without it tearing, it is ready. So plop it into a lightly greased bowl, cover it, and place it in a warm spot to rise for about 1 hour. This dough is very enriched, so it might not double in size, but as long as it rises somewhat, you are good to go. So with a pair of greased sheet pans ready and waiting, I'll plop my dough out onto a lightly floured counter, press all of the air out of it, sprinkle it very lightly with a little bit more flour so the rolling pin doesn't stick, and roll it out to about 1/4 inch thick. Then using whatever circle cutter you got handy, punch as many circles out as you can from the dough, throw them on your greased sheet pan, and then we're going to take all of that leftover dough, bunch it all up together, knead it into a single mass, and roll it back out and repeat the process. If you find you're having a lot of difficulty with your dough springing back, you can let it sit and rest before trying to finish rolling it out, just to give the gluten a little chance to relax before you continue. While those are proofing, I'm going to preheat my oil to 375 degrees Fahrenheit, and then I'm going to start frying these one at a time for about 1 minute aside, being careful not to splash any oil as I flip them. When they're done, I'll use a slotted spoon to pull them out, let them drip drain over the oil, and then place them on a rack to cool. If you want to toss them in sugar, I'd recommend doing that while they're still warm and kind of greasy, because the sugar will stick a little better. I coated these with some cinnamon sugar that I whipped up by mixing together 3 parts sugar to 1 part cinnamon, and they were pretty good, but we can do better. I was thinking powdered jelly donuts, and the steps are pretty much the same right up until the end. Make a dough, cut them into circles, fry it at 375, drip drain, throw them on a rack to cool. When they're cool, I'm going to poke a hole in the side with a chopstick and wiggle it around to create some space. Then using a piping bag, I'm going to fill that up with jam, and then once it's already full, I'll coat it with powdered sugar. You can of course use any kind of jam for this, or really any liquid thing that you might want to fill a donut with. No matter what you use, these are pretty much guaranteed to be good. But what about cream-filled donuts? Well, for that we're going to have to make our own pastry cream. So to a small saucepan, I'll add 1 cup of whole milk and throw it on the stove and heat it until it's just almost boiling. Not boiling though. While that's heating, I'll grab a small bowl and mix together 3 egg yolks, 1/4 cup of sugar, just a pinch of salt, a teaspoon of vanilla, optionally a little splash of lemon juice, and 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. I'll whisk that together until it's completely homogenized, and then using a wet kitchen towel as a bit of a bowl stand, I'm going to very slowly stream in that hot milk while whisking. If you do it too fast, the eggs are going to cook and you're going to end up with scrambled eggs. This is going to bring the eggs up to temp so they don't cook the second you dump them into the boiling liquid. I'll dump that whole mixture back into the pot, take it over to the stove, and heat it on medium, whisking constantly. At first, nothing's really going to happen, but as it starts to get towards boiling, it's going to start thickening up really quickly, and you want to stir constantly so you don't end up with burnt bits on the bottom. Cook it once it's thickened for about 1 full minute, and then add in 1 tablespoon of cubed up cold unsalted butter. When all the butter is melted and incorporated, I'll spread it all out on a sheet pan, cover it tightly with plastic wrap so it doesn't form a skin, and place it in the fridge to cool, because who wants hot pastry cream in their donut? With my pastry cream cooling, I'll go ahead and make my dough, cut it, fry it at 375, and I toss these in some plain white sugar and set them aside to cool. When they were cool, chopstick, wiggle wiggle, load them up with the pastry cream, and enjoy. You guys, these donuts are so easy, so fluffy, so delicious, and I can't wait to try them a whole bunch of other ways. If you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you give these a shot, be sure to tag me on Instagram. I'd love to see what you come up with. That's it for this one. Thanks very much for watching, you guys. I will see you next time.